Welcome to Fortuna's Events podcast series, where we engage in dynamic conversations with the pioneers, experts, and change makers driving progress across industries. In each episode, we explore how cutting-edge innovations, strategic approaches, and emerging trends are reshaping the future of businesses. Our goal is to offer fresh insights into the evolving challenges and opportunities that professionals face today. I'm your host, Shweta, Senior Content Executive at Fortuna's Events. Hi Shameel, welcome to Fortuna's Events Executive Interview. It's a pleasure having you here. Good morning, how are you?
Morning, nice to be here. I'm doing fantastic. How about you, Shweta?
I'm good. I'm so sorry to take up your time this early in the morning, but it's the only time that we could.
And that's absolutely fine. Happens when we are across the globe.
Yeah.
I think, East Asia to US is like quite a bit of distance.
Okay, let's get right into it. Okay. Shameel, I see that Clootrack has established itself as a leader in customer experience analytics, helping brands like Deloitte, HSBC, Tata to enhance their CX strategies using AI-powered solutions. Can you give us a brief overview of Clootrack and its core services?
Absolutely, Shweta. So in fact, you can think of Clootrack as an AI super agent for fast customer intelligence. Yeah. So when I say customer intelligence, I'm talking about insights into consumer behavior and customer experience. And like I said before, since we use AI, it is very fast. And we also have the specialty that it's like highly accurate. We give accuracies of 92% plus using AI, and we are super fast, getting into the insights of why customers like something, why customers dislike something, and so on. And why it becomes so powerful today is that if you look at brands today or companies today, for making any key decisions, be it in terms of new product development, operational improvement, getting into a new market, enhancing marketing communication, all these decisions, important decisions which impact the top line and bottom line, it is driven by understanding about how customers behave. And since markets are moving very, very fast, products are getting launched like every other day.
Yeah.
There are like nuances of geographies from one place to another. There are like multiple channels through which customers sell. It's so very important for brands to understand how these trends move pretty fast so that they can make important decisions in the right way in a data-driven fashion. And that's what Clootrack enables. And we have been able to make some pretty great impact. We've been able to reduce churn by around 35%, even in big consumer brands. We've been able to reduce e-commerce returns by around 18% in several brands. We have been able to, save around 528+% hours every month consistently across brands. We've been able to show like 38x plus ROI across the brands we work with. So that is the power which we bring on the table by helping brands understand consumer behavior and customer expectations in a rapid pace.
Understand.
Is it too much of jargon? You can of course ask me if there is anything which is not very clear.
It's not too much of jargons. I'm just trying to process. We'll get to it later where I will ask you the actual case studies. Okay.
Yeah, sure.
All right. Given Clootrack's partnerships with leading enterprises and its extensive capabilities, it's clear that Clootrack offers unique advantages, right? So what would you say the differences between other customer experience platform and also Clootrack's? Like, what is Clootrack's USP?
If you look at other customer experience analytics platform, one big drawback I find across all the solutions is that they take a very siloed view of customer experience. So there is like one kind of solutions who does only for contact centers. There is another who does only NPS CSAT. There's some others who are primarily around in-depth interviews and such kind of tools which are primarily used by researchers. So this is a fundamental mistake, and the point is like the brands actually, or say the companies who does this, they look at customer or the other tools which are out there. They look at customer experience either as like a voice analytics or as a text analytics or as a high touch consulting engagement kind of approach. If you look at all these different ways, and it is like very, very siloed. This makes it very difficult for the companies or the brands to take any decisions out of this because it's very much siloed. And not only that, customer experience is not just a voice analytics solution. It is not just a text analytics solution, right? And it is, and you can't bring in like a high touch consulting every time because it's expensive as well as it takes time. So that's where Clootrack comes in. What we have done is that we have created, like I said, a AI super agent for fast customer intelligence. So what we have done is we aggregate data across all the touch points. So we don't worry whether it is a text or a voice or any other kind of formats or multiple different sources. We collect from both first party sources. We also collect from online sources. We aggregate everything. That's one thing we do. Second very important thing is that we realize that even after you integrate all the data, depending upon which company it is, what are their goals, their analysis flows have to change, or it has to be set up in a slightly different way. So we have got capability to put up analysis workflows according to the end goals or objectives. And across all these analysis workflows we set up, what is so special about Clootrack is that our insight detection is unsupervised. What is meant by that is, again, a jargon. What is meant by that is nobody has to predefine what they're looking out for from the data. The system automatically detects patterns and tell them these are the key priorities using AI. And we have got a patent for this approach. And using this combination, like, aggregation of whole population data, ability to set up multiple different analysis workflows, and capability to detect patterns in an unsupervised fashion, we are able to give a holistic view and an unbiased view and a fast view to changing customer priority.
Understand? Okay. So Clootrack is mainly about analytics, right? How does emotion play in this? Where do you draw the line?
Yeah, emotion plays a big role in understanding customers, because if you want to take any decision, for example, if you are just putting out a marketing communication and you want to see, like, what should I communicate to my customers? So you should communicate something to your customers which really matters to them, which they are overtly maybe happy, overtly like unhappy. And for you to identify those nuances, you need to identify how much emotions they express against each one of them. Some of the factors which you feel are so important might not be that great important for the customer.
I see.
Right. And even the ranking of priority of items, you might think that, okay, these 10 things are important for my customers. So these 5 aspects are important for my customers. But ranking of that will differ. So maybe we think, price is important all the time, but it's not the case. Price is not important all the time.
I understand.
Yeah, right. It might be some other aspect of it, some other feature, the way it is packaged, the way it is like distributed. So for you to identify what are those parameters, you need to be able to track the emotions of people across all the different attributes, all the different aspects, and you should be able to see your brand through the eyes of your customer.
Definitely.
So when you start looking at emotions, you get to this. But if you just look at the sales reports, revenue numbers, employee count, or number of SKUs out there, you're not going to get these nuances.
Emotions, yeah.
Right, yeah.
Understand. Just now you mentioned that it's unsupervised, right? What is unsupervised?
When you look at your data, there are 2 ways to analyze this data. One is that as a human being, you go and say, you know what, I'm looking out for these 5 or 10 different things. Tell me answer for that from this particular data. According to us, that way of looking at it is biased, because you are already seeding the system with your opinion that these are the things which are important for my customers. But instead, if you go the other way around, like, rather than you telling anything to the system to identify, you go and identify by yourself and tell me what's more important. That is unsupervised. And this becomes very important in an unstructured data analysis. Now, I'm not talking more about the structured one, unstructured data analysis. For example, you get, like, say, 100,000 calls every month from your customers in contact center. People write maybe 30,000 reviews of your products and in the multiple different channels. People respond to your NPS CSAT, and probably you get another 50-60,000 out of it. And you have a large chunk of this unstructured data. And unstructured data is so messy. Suppose you just go to your Play Store and maybe like App Store, and you start reading the reviews. You'll get confused after you read the 10th or the 11th review, because they drive you in all different directions. And now just imagine you're predefining the system, saying that, okay, my customer would only talk about these 5 things, and you go out and look for it. Then you're completely biasing the system. But here, from this whole unstructured data, the system is able to go in, identify all the nuances they speak, and then come back and tell you, what, these are the 20 things which is most important for the customer. This is how it has changed from last time. And it does it automatically. So it brings out some very interesting insight. For example, we were working with a telecom company earlier, and they used to do this. Whenever a call comes in the customer care, whenever a customer responds on their NPS, they used to bucket it into certain themes.
Okay.
Interestingly, they had 112 buckets to which they used to bucket. They used to go through it and bucket in these 112 reasons why customers are reaching out.
Isn't that a lot?
It's massive. So what happened is, over a period of time, it just kept on adding. It became 112. Now what we did is that we ran analysis on Clootrack, and we got around 36 areas which customers are really bothered about. Out of that 36, around 18 of them the brand already had, the company already had, the telecom company already had. But the rest of it, they did not have. And what are those rest of the things? There were things like token system in their stores, which they had introduced very recently. So since you don't expect that, okay, maybe token system is so important for the customer, maybe they are concerned about it, nobody had created a bucket or they were not looking out for it. But in Clootrack, whatever it is, and then this movement can happen from anywhere. It can be because of some changes in your product, some changes in service, some competitor introducing something new. So we are able to detect that very seamlessly without any bias. And since it is like run automated, it's pretty fast. As soon as it starts showing it in the market or showing it out there for the customers, immediately we are able to grab it and say, okay, you know what, this is something which is coming up important.
Okay, so with the amount of data you guys are collecting, how are you ensuring the secureness and that it's used responsibly? The important question.
I think that's the biggest question today in enterprise because
Yes.
all enterprises want to adopt AI. And one big question which comes in is like, how secure is AI? What
Yeah.
happens to my data? This is my customer's data. What happens, right? So what we have done, there are a bunch of steps we have taken to ensure that the AI of Clootrack is enterprise ready. So what we have done is all the AI models we use, including the large language models, we have got something called zero data retention. So the no data is like retained in the model, and it is completely, it's not used for training, it's not retained at all. There is no footprint will leave within the model for any data you send it across. That's one thing we do. Second thing what we do is that wherever we have analysis from the AI models, large language models, we ensure that the customer PIDs are scrubbed off. So there is no customer private personally identifiable information which is being sent to the models at any point in time. It's like completely clean, and then we send it out to the models. And apart from that, we also have other norms, other enterprise level security standards we abide by. We are ISO 27001, we abide by HIPAA, we abide by GDPR, and so on. We also have multiple different setups like multi-tenancy in data encryption at rest, role-based data access, multiple different setups we have done. Not only that, we to ensure that even after all these steps what we have done, there is nothing going wrong. We also do audit by third-party accredited organizations. So they do come in, they do red teaming, they do like penetration testing on a regular basis, so that to ensure that the system we have is like 100%.
Understand. So everything is secure.
It's really 100% secure, and it's like tried and tested by multiple different brands as well. So we work with around 150 plus companies right now, and they have tested and verified and ensured that this is a system which you can rely on.
Understand. Okay. Apart than the telecom example, do you have any other example that is one of the most interesting case studies that you've ever had?
Yeah, we have so many examples. I would say maybe I would pick one banking example because banking is a big sector where customer experience and insights play a lot because it's a very traditional segment. Almost all the banks look the same, and the only way they can differentiate today is by giving wow experience even to the nuances. So we have this customer of ours who's like pretty big, around I think 49 million in terms of customers, 1,800 branches, around 8 billion plus in terms of revenues. So we have been working with them for several years right now. And what we do is that we basically aggregate all the data from multiple different customer touch points. So we have their NPS feedback, CSAT feedbacks, we have their call center calls, we have their website feedback, chatbot feedback. So everything comes to our system and we run through it, we analyze it, identify patterns. And several quarters back, we identified that they have got a failure in their payment system, which is causing impact to 9% of their first-time customers of their biggest selling product. So it's like, from a monetary perspective, it's pretty big. Like, 9% of the biggest selling product, those customers are impacted by this. And we could identify the interesting factor is that it's a payment failure and there are already monitoring systems behind it. But the monitoring systems could not find it out. They did not flag it primarily because the base number was small. So it's like it was happening to a certain set of customers, not for everyone, right? But when you start looking from a customer angle, it was very clear that customers are very concerned about it. They were dropping the service and going off. Definitely. And the monetary impact of this is pretty high. So so it happens every time, right? You build something, you have made all the setups, and then somebody takes a test drive and you figure it out that, for the customer, there are like, three different problems or five different problems. Similar aspect. And what if you can do the same thing on a continuous basis? That's what Clootrack is doing. Helping you see your services, see your products through the eyes of the customer on a day-to-day basis at an aggregate level. This is pretty important at an aggregate level because, every customer who calls you, you are fixing his problem through customer care or some method of yours. But are you fixing the root cause? You're not actually fixing the root cause. When a customer calls your customer care and tells that, I'm not able to make a payment. What do you tell him? Okay, if that is not working, you do one thing. There are two other options we have. You can make payments for that. Or maybe I'll send somebody to collect a check, right? So you solved his problem, but the underlying root cause still remains. What Clootrack helps you is that it helps you to identify the underlying root causes of customer dissatisfaction or customer concern, and you are able to identify those at a rapid pace and fix the root cause pretty fast. And the impact, like I said, is massive. In terms of monetary value, in terms of the changes in your NPS, right? It's like pretty significant.
Wow, that's a lot.
Yeah. So fixing the root causes really moves the needle. Unlike all the other workarounds, we have seen very interesting things happen. You see a consistent level of feedback across at a macro level from customers about how brand is not able to satisfy certain thing, and sometimes it is just fixed by training your floor agents or floor personnel, right, on that particular thing. That's it. That would have solved. That would have made a significant lift to the customer experience, and you start seeing the impact, and that starts snowballing in terms of impact to sales, reduction in churn, people coming back, and that makes a big impact.
Yeah, you know how they said good customer experience starts from employee experience.
Yeah, employee experience is a very big factor. In fact, sometimes when the companies become big, they forget to listen to their employees the way they should. And there's always so we started getting this employee experience requirements after we started the customer experience. But then when we started getting into it, we start getting very, very deep opinions and feedbacks, which many times middle management was missing out. What happens is that employees in different organizations are different levels, right? And they also have different experiences. And that means that they've got different visibilities and different perspectives. That's pretty interesting. Say, suppose, there is a big traditional company and there is a new entrant, maybe 1-2 years of experience, who is more tech savvy. His perspectives will have very interesting ideas about, how to improve things in the organization.
Exactly.
And we start listening to what do they talk on your, and employee experience is a bit tricky because people do not express that freely.
Yeah.
Right. Because they are also, concerned about what will happen to them and so on. So there's like the internal sources, there's like online sources, you club everything together, and then you start seeing the macro picture. And then you start, and one interesting thing Clootrack also gives us, like, it helps you to view employee experience of yours versus the competition from public data.
Interesting.
That starts giving you the benchmark, even though like it's not 100% disclosed or people are it's not so much open. But when you start doing this comparison scores, right, you start figuring out, yes, I have a problem in, less skilled senior management.
Okay.
Right. I have a problem in work-life balance. People are happy with my, low compensation, but people are not happy with work-life balance. So, and what aspects of work-life balance? All right. Is it that, at the peak times, during the campaign times, that's when is it going for a toss? Is it like regular? Like, you start getting these kind of interesting insights, which again, to fix for an organization will be relatively easy as long as you know about it.
Agree.
Right. And you don't fix things you don't know about. That's why I'm unsupervised. Coming back to the unsupervised one, like if say you were looking out for some 5 things, you would not have noticed it. But when you start realizing that this is an important aspect. So for example, right? So Starbucks is in the news a lot today, right? But when we did an analysis sometime back in Starbucks, one big reason employees like Starbucks is because of the free food they give. Yeah. The shop floor or the shop personnel, they really like because of the free food and the perks they get. So these kind of nuances, if you are looking at, again, for a company to decide on that, okay, let's give this kind of a provision for a free lunch or a free coffee. It might not be, I'm not telling that it's not an important decision, but as long as you know about it, right, maybe it's easy for you to take a decision.
Agree. And I also do agree with what you said earlier, that in order to solve a problem, you need to find the root cause of it. Because I
Yes.
remember
Yeah.
Elon mentioning it once. I think someone asked him, like, how are you able to get all of this information? And he said, go back to the root.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
See, one of the important misses most of the brands and companies have today is that they don't have visibility to customer journeys,
Mm-hmm.
because customer journeys have become so much multiples.
Correct.
Right? People see you on the website, then they go to Amazon, then they come to your store and buy. Right?
Yes.
What's the journey? So that's one person. And you sell like 20 different products
Correct. Yeah.
or category. It becomes all the more complicated. So the whole mystery shopping kind of approaches people used to do, that again is only one siloed approach today. Like, because you sell in multiple different places, then you think about, okay, let me track website. Okay, you track web, that's another siloed data source. Then you feel like, okay, then what happens to Amazon? There is Amazon Pie which gives some, so that becomes another siloed one. And brands are struggling to put everything together and see, like, what's my customer journey looking like? What's more important?
I do agree. Even I do that myself. Like my journey is so haywire.
Yeah, and also one more thing is, like, there is a lot of spontaneous and instantaneous buying as well.
Definitely. Yep. Yeah. It's like we have to think twice, think so many times before making the decision.
Yeah.
Okay. Last question, Shameel. I want to learn more about Clootrack's plans for future developments or enhancements.
So one aspect which we are so excited, like many companies out there, is the latest AI developments.
Yeah.
So we always believe that AI will reach to a place where it'll be a little bit tipping point where it starts to like a mass adoption, and I think that tipping point has happened. Of course, there are imperfections in the models and AI, but that gap would be like fast covered in the coming couple of months or years, for sure.
Understand?
And what we believe is that we always believe in this. We believe that businesses will go more cognitive and intelligent. Right. So before you as a customer, even makes the first step, businesses would take the first step to get you the things which you want.
Yes,
right?
way ahead. Yeah.
Way ahead. And this requires a transformation for businesses. And there are some very exciting releases coming up, of course, on our platform itself, because that's where most of our concentration is, which will help companies to take this transformation.
Okay, understand.
Like a digital transformation, this cognitive transformation is going to be a big activity for all the companies, which is going to come in a couple of years, and Clootrack will play a significant role with consumer companies in doing this.
And that would be all for today's episode. If you enjoyed this conversation, don't forget to subscribe to our podcast and stay tuned for more exciting episodes featuring industry leaders from around the globe. Until next time, stay curious and keep innovating.